The Polaris Music Prize, or Polaris, I don't really actually know, is a prestigious music award given each year to the best album by a Canadian band or artist. It's modeled after the Mercury Prize in the United Kingdom, and it's selected solely on musical merit, regardless of genre, popularity, or even record label. So in other words, it's one big award given to the quote-unquote cream of the crop. On the list of winners, you'll have big names like Feist, Arcade Fire, Caribou, Godspeed You Black Emperor, and many others. Well, cool, okay. I can get behind this. It's kind of like the Grammys, but for Canada, you know, like, sure. Let's take a look at the list, and let me see who the first one was. Wait. Final Fantasy? Poos Clouds? Freaking this guy won over freaking Wolf Parade's apologies to the Queen Mary? What is going on here? Oh, man, and look at that album cover, too. It's unique for sure, but I can't get over that name. Is it a joke? Is it nothing but Final Fantasy covers? I mean, that would explain the font and the style on the cover. It's almost like this album is like doing everything in its power to say, stop, please don't listen to me. Well, joke's on you, Mr. Final Fantasy man. Well, joke's on you, Mr. Fantasy. I love your video games, so... Alright, so diving in, I learned that Mr. Fantasy is actually kind of a familiar name. It's, Owen Pallett?
I'm, Owen Pallett.
Oh, Owen Pallett. I've seen this name before, like, from Arcade Fire. I know that he did a lot of work for them in the strings. He used to tour with them. He did a lot of, like, good things for them. And now that I see it, he actually has done a lot to contribute to music. He even sings with Beirut. You know, my ultimate dream indie hipster trumpet band. Oh, shoot, man. This guy might actually be pretty good. But, the name, he poos clouds. He poos clouds. He poos clouds. Feels like it comes out like word vomit. Like, who is the he in He Poos Clouds? Who is this dingo on the cover? Is he the one that's pooping? I mean pooing. Not excreting, but pooing. And what is he producing exactly? What is coming out of his butt? Clouds, of course, so he's gotta be pooing clouds, but clouds of what? Is it just like rain clouds? Is it a metaphor? Will any of this be answered on the album? Well, no. So this incomplete statement with zero context, what does it sound like exactly? Well, here we go. After listening from start to finish, I think I can safely say that this album is like nothing I've ever heard before. Sometimes it's really easy to pinpoint a genre of music, like a music that you listen to like a certain style, you know. Oh, this album sounds like if post-rock meant like post-jazz with elements of like Slint, the band, or imagine like a Dark Evil dance version of like indie pop. But this album here, it's like if a string quartet decided to make an album full of crazy, like stupidly clever ideas, added with these indie vocal stylings, but completely unique. It's like if a string quartet was rehearsing, but then suddenly barging into a room, there was like a timpanist and a trombone player and just like complete whimsy. It's playful, it's theatrical, it's shockingly well composed and performed, and it might be the one and only of its own genre. He poos genius. So let me explain. What does it actually sound like? So the first track, it's called the Arctic Circle. It starts with this clear, super classical influence, using kind of this baseballing rhythm. Not baseball, you Donkey Kong, you meant tennis! Jumping from like the low instruments to the high. While having these little intersecting percussion and harpsichord lines. Well, and then that's when the vocals come in clear, but almost unique and clever. Like, the way that he sounds, it sounds very poignant, forward, like, just kind of honest to the brim, but, like, also gentle and welcoming.
Possible ideas for a date include a shooting range.
And it introduces itself with tons of passion and unique sounds, just leaking out of it from the start. And you see, for me, it only went up from there with the next track. It's the title track, a tune that doesn't explain its title. Instead, it's a track about digital romance, essentially, and how it doesn't blossom into much for this certain individual. But man, dude, this tune slaps. Listen to this. And it takes a dramatic turn in its ending as the relationship fizzles up. It's honestly such a selling track for the entire album. I'd recommend anyone listening to it. It makes me pumped, and then I'm just like, ready, let's do this. Rest of the album, let's go. From this track, I was sold to the style. It was so fresh and enjoyable. Honestly, for me, it kind of fell into this camp that I fall into sometimes, the shoot. What am I doing not making music like this? So check out this next track, This Lamb Sells Condos. Now, this is a very interesting track. It's based off of an old real estate guy that's from Toronto, had a lot of like commercials and whatnot. It's a conversation that's imagined between his wife and himself. But I mean, right away, listen to how the piano hooks you in. Honestly, for me, this song takes the cake. It's my favorite track off the album. It's an amazing song that's just oozing with this creative wonder. It's a really gorgeous track. The themes on this album are like a mix of, troublesome relationship problems and also, to my surprise, as well, 8 schools of magic in Dungeons & Dragons. Some songs, they really show that point, the whole magical part of it, while others may be more creative in the spirit of what he imagines that school to be. With it, it also embodies the idea of creativity and roleplay. It's very theatrical. Take later in the album to this tune, Do You Love? In the track, you hear this boom chick style throughout the entire song with these little bursting out loud interjections, almost like a cry inside of the singer's head. That screaming is actually a very common occurrence on this album. There's a lot of times that they kind of use that for an effect. It adds this sense of urgency and emotional punch, and in the case of this song, I think it really works.
Unless it's put to work. There's a twitch, there's a rush, there's a...
It works up to this ending that's almost cynical and it's kind of wound up perversion. Alright, I could keep gushing about this album, but truth be told, all the tracks on this album are fantastic. And I could go into every little tiny detail, but I really wanted to just give you a little bit of a preview of what this album has to offer. I don't want to take away from your discovery of the album. Check it out for yourself, it's on everything ever. But for now, I want to talk about the most popular song on the album. It's Many Lives, Arrow 49MP. The energy that this song has, that it propels with, is just simply breathtaking. There's shouting, like I mentioned before, there's intense string work, there's like emotional, strong lyrics, and it's all in this whirlwind of like this emotion that leaves me breathless every time. It's like I don't take a breath until the song is over. And while the album version is absolutely fantastic and you should listen to that, I wanted to show you the live rendition because it's super unique on its own, and it really shows what Owen Pallett has to offer. With his live performance, he does a lot of looping. It kind of is almost like a one-man band, and wow, it's incredible stuff that he's doing. Warning you, this is a very powerful video.
See my wife and kids and how I would live, how I would die. It's satisfied, it's self-absorption. I wanna learn from my mistakes before they can scare me away from the drugs.
Alright, so if you aren't pulling up this album by the time the video finishes, I think that you need some help, buddy, because there's a lot of good things to discover, and this album, it needs to be enjoyed, so don't let the name of it, Poos Clouds, deter you. At this point, you will only benefit from the unbridled talent Owen Pallett pulls off on this incredible album, making it one of the best albums that you have never heard. Now, the rest of Owen Pallett's stuff is actually really, really fantastic. I Might make a video in the future about the rest of his stuff. I think he's a man that hasn't been explored in the pantheon of amazing music that's being made today. And so, I don't know, we'll see what happens with that, but check out this album, check out his other stuff, his solo work. His most recent album has some really fantastic songs on it, so check it out. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for tuning in, and bye 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 bye. Oh, also subscribe, please. Bye 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 bye.